in that same conversation, Jalen Carter, a name that apparently, according to reports, is being lifted from draft boards. I have been told by at least 2 teams in the top 10 that Jalen Carter actually is off of their draft board. He won't take calls or schedule pre-draft visits with anybody outside of the top 10 because him and Drew Rosenhaus believe that he's definitely a top 10 pick in the draft. I mean, first off, I don't think that's a consensus pick or decision anymore. I don't think that's the thought. Second off, even if they don't take him in for a pre-draft visit, even if they don't get to do that last bit of homework on him, if he slides out of the top 10 and you're the Pittsburgh Steelers, I think it's got to be assumed that they at least make a couple of phone calls to say, hey, what do we got to do to go get this guy?
Yeah, you're absolutely seeing what it would take, but be nice. It would be nice. You just, I don't know. I'm not so sure. I was perfectly comfortable with the idea of going, corner, maybe trading up for offensive lineman if it's Karanski or Johnson or something like that. I don't know. I just thought I loved seeing mock drafts where they were waiting until the later rounds to get defensive linemen. I wasn't that concerned with getting them in the first round. Jalen Carter makes you rethink that a little bit.
Yes,
But
100%. He's the best player in the draft, in my opinion. Like, I think
really,
Will Anderson's very good. I think they're 1A, 1B. But I think what Jalen Carter can do when he's like peak athletic form, peak Jalen Carter, is just like, it's, edge rushers are really, really good and they're flashy and they're cool. But like what Jalen Carter could do in the middle of a football field and in the middle of a defensive line is just like almost unstoppable at times. He's got the body, he's got the size. He'd come to Pittsburgh and he'd play with Cam Hayward, who if you're the Pittsburgh Steelers and you want to utilize Cam Hayward's last final seasons, having the best player in the draft at that position, a guy that is already looked at as a superstar, who at one point was being considered the possible number 1 pick in the draft, to learn alongside this guy while getting NFL experience. I mean, I just think that's the perfect formula for the Pittsburgh Steelers. I don't think you could go wrong there.
yeah, I think so. But what would it cost?
That's the big one. What would it cost?
Right, because if it's like 3 picks, because you're moving up into the top. I guess you're moving up into the top 15, probably.
Yeah, I think that's the
12,
big question is like, what do you like? How long are you willing to wait? Like, if it's 11, like the draft order outside of the top 10, all gets very dangerous. So 10 is the Philadelphia Eagles, which I think is a dangerous team to take Jalen Carter. Tennessee Titans, dangerous team to take Jalen Carter, but at the same time, just signed Jeffrey Simmons to a huge deal. Houston Texans, definitely a dangerous team. And then the New York Jets. Maybe not, like they'd take them. They don't really need them, but I think they'd take them.
Mm-hmm.
Like, where are you waiting? Like, are you going just 11? Boom, we're on the phone with the Titans. Let's make a deal done. Let's not take any risks. Because I think at that point, like maybe you're giving up 32. You know what I mean?
Right. And I don't know if I want to do that.
I agree.
I just think like the value lost from. I love that 32 pick. I think that's going to be
Me too. I think it's the best pick the Steelers have, like by far.
Oh yeah,
actually.
Yeah. I absolutely agree. And so I'm just, and that would be the first thing to go. Well, 17 would have to go, but 32. If I'm trading away a top 15 pick and I'm not getting that 32 from the Steelers, I don't know, that deal's not happening. So
that's what I'm saying.
And I understand what you could add. I think the value lost of that 32, I could really care less about the 17th pick, quite honestly. But
that's what I'm saying. Like, if I gave up a 17th and like next year's 2nd round pick, cool. Feeling real good about that one.
Right.
17 and 49, cool. Feeling real good about that one. 17 and 80, cool. Fine. 32, like there's just so much substance there. There's the ability I think the biggest thing about 32 is the fact that you have to wait 24 hours before you make that selection. And in that 24 hours, all 32 teams all 31 other teams in the NFL are going to call you. and they're going to
Right.
say, hey, let's make this offer. Here's my offer. What do we have to do to make a trade? Like, you will have so much attention on you for that pick. And if somebody slides, that's only more dangerous. Like, it could be a position that you don't even need. But like, if Bijan Robinson slides out of the first round, you know how many people are going to call the Pittsburgh Steelers to go get Bijan Robinson? Like,
Yeah.
literally every single person. If Will Levis falls out of the first round, Hendon Hooker, you know, somehow slides out of, or I shouldn't say somehow, but if he slides out of that first round and continues to gain the speed and the momentum that he has right now, like, people are going to lose their minds. If, you know, Darnell Wright or Dwan Jones is sitting there at 32, you have your pick at left tackle. Like, there's just so many options for the Pittsburgh Steelers at 39. That being said, when they moved up to get Devin Bush, they gave up, I believe it was next year's first. So it was, I don't believe it was a lot. I mean, it was their pick. It was their current first round pick. And then I believe it was next year's first. Could be wrong on that. But if that's what they have to give up, I'm going to consider it. You know, I'm not going to say no for Jalen Carter.
If it's 2 picks, if it's 17 and 32, that's one thing, and I'm less likely to do it. But if it's only 2 picks, if it's like 17 and 49,
I'm pulling the trigger. Easy.
Absolutely.
Easy.
Absolutely.
No questions asked. From what you could get at 49, like, who cares? I'll wait till 80. I got 32. Like, I just got Jalen Carter and I got 32. I could get my corner. Like, they love Keely Ringo, apparently. You get Keely Ringo. If you got Jalen Carter and Keely Ringo.
Yeah, just rebuild the Georgia Bulldogs.
That's what I'm saying. Go. Like, totally fine. Totally fine. You have a national champion. You have the 2 most impactful players from not this past championship, because Stetson Bennett went out for 400 and 300 million yards. Yeah. But the year before, most important people on that team. Like, Jalen Carter
on one of the best defenses, one of the best college defenses ever. They were the best players.
And they could learn from, and they get to learn from Cam Hayward, Larry Ogunjobi, who's a good vet to learn from, and Patrick Peterson.
Yeah.
Like, yeah, that's a win-win. Like, that's as good of a win as you could get if you're the Pittsburgh Steelers. I think if they get to 10, I'm calling. Like, if Jalen Carter slides to the Philadelphia Eagles, I'm going to call the Philadelphia Eagles. I don't think they would say yes, because I think they would rather Jalen Carter. But if they pass up on him,
well, are they going to take? They still have Brandon Graham, right?
Mm-hmm.
They retained a lot. Like, Hargrave didn't sign somewhere.
No, Hargrave went to San Francisco.
Yeah, but they still have
Jordan Davis.
Yeah, they still have Jordan Davis in there. I don't know if it's a slam dunk that they would take.
I don't either. That's the thing, is I think that if Christian Gonzalez is still on the board, they'll consider Christian Gonzalez. I think Bijan Robinson's a very sneaky pick for them right there at 10. Like, I think they're
not taking Bijan at 10. I don't know.
Maybe.
Bijan's, I don't know.
He's a running back. I understand that. But, you know, if with the way that they operate a football team, possibly. I'm just agreeing. Like, I don't think that it's a slam dunk that like, Jalen Carter is our guy.
Yeah.
We're going to check, especially if he slides to the top 10. Like, they might be thinking, yeah, well, you know, we just got to steal, or they're thinking there's got to be a reason here. You know, like, I was told that one team within the top 10 removed Jalen Carter months ago because they knew all these issues were going to come up well before they started to, you know, like, that's just the reputation that this guy has within some of these teams in the top 10. If the Eagles are one of them, you get to 11, you know, the Titans don't need them that bad. You can make a trade with the Titans.
Absolutely.
Yeah. I think it's a very big possibility for the Pittsburgh Steelers. Would I say it's closer to 0 than it is 100? Yes, 100%. Yeah. But I think the door is very much so open, and I'm not ready to shut it. And I think the closer we get to the draft, that is a name to watch. You know, I think the other part of this is he has said that he's not going to accept phone calls outside of the top 10. I think that if the Pittsburgh Steelers have one pre-draft visit left at the end of this month and they call Jalen Carter, he's going to Pittsburgh. You know, like, there's no way that he's sitting there and Mike Tomlin picks up the phone and calls him and he goes, "Oh, sorry, Mike, I'm not coming to Pittsburgh." Like, it's Mike Tomlin in the Pittsburgh Steelers. You're going.
Well, especially if he's been sitting on his couch for the past month. Not sitting on his couch, but you know what I mean. Like, if he hasn't done a visit yet, and he's only taken top 10 visits, and you get to the very end of this and no
Yeah.
one's called him,
Yeah.
then
I think so far he's got the Seattle Seahawks, and that's it. That's literally the only meeting he's got. Like, you can't feel real confident about that situation. And I could see if the Titans call and you say no, and the Texans call and you say no. The Pittsburgh Steelers call, you say yes. Like, that's just what it is. Like, Mike Tomlin holds such ground in the NFL that, especially for the young defensive players, like, Drew Rosenhaus is smart enough to go, yeah, well, maybe we could convince them to go get you. And that is the team we would like to be on. Like, I don't know. I just think it makes a lot of sense for both sides, unless the trade value is too high. But we'll get to that come draft night. None of that'll happen till we're all sitting on our couches trying to enjoy the draft, and just that ninth pick shows up and Jalen Carter's name's not called, and then it's just like, all right,
go time.
Yep. Roller coaster's moving here. Let's see what happens. All Steelers Talk has officially launched their own clothing brand, Black and Gold Apparel, now available on bonfire.com or at the shop tab at our YouTube page. Your new favorite place for Steelers t-shirts, sweatshirts, and crew necks, now out, now available in multiple designs, including some of my favorites, Kenny Comeback, Mute, and Kenny DeGeorge. Check them all out at bonfire.com or on the shop tab at our YouTube page.